Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Sarah. It's gorgeous to see you today.
Oh, thanks, Bridge. I'm excited because you've had extensive experience in the fashion industry, and then you moved into network styling and celebrity styling. Why don't you start by sharing a bit of your styling journey, and then we can talk about how you've moved into the personal styling and the virtual space.
Sure. So I fell into network styling with Network 10 about 14 years ago, and started out styling with newsreaders and, helping journalists shop for their wardrobes. And then we started doing all the publicity shoots. So the marketing and the publicity shoots for any TV shows that were happening at the time. Mm-hmm. Now, when we do the marketing and publicity, it's not them as their characters, it's them as themselves. So that's eventually down the road how personal styling came about. So I carried on doing that for 7 years until I had my first bub, and then went back out in the big wide world on my own. And along the way, I didn't realise that the relationships that I built were the people that were going to take me, here, there and everywhere. So I ended up working with Foxtel, Channel 7, Channel 10 and some of the radio networks as well. So that's my network styling. Yeah.
Wow. And when you were doing that sort of styling, I know we've spoken about before, you really had to have a clear understanding of every brand, every style, every fabric, exactly what look you were trying to create for each individual person. So there would have been a lot of time spent working with or sourcing garments across the country.
Huge. The amount we would have 5 racks of clothing at a group shop, when you're dressing around about 8 people. So that's, I'd say probably, 10, 15 brands in there as well, depending on their personalities and what they like and what they gravitate towards, and then what you think is going to work to fit the brief. And then obviously accessories for that as well. And these days were huge, and the prep was huge. It was, always fun at the end of the day when you see it live and shot. But yeah, amazing work, amazing amount of work goes into that.
So then that you were able to transition that role into, I guess, a sort of a one-to-one personal styling experience with your knowledge of all of the brands and your ability to really nail a brief.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess
drop that catchphrase in.
I mean, this is something we've worked on together through doing your program. So yes, knowing all the brands, I mean, that's something with my fashion background as well, knowing the brands, knowing what's out there. And for me, being able to work with a heap of brands rather than just one brand was what struck a heartbeat with styling, to be able to reach out to all these brands and the excitement from the brands when you're working with them as well. To be able to dress, the Offsprings, Asher Ketty and Kat Stewart especially, the brands were just loving those moments, and the clothes were just stunning. So, yeah.
Actually, let's just talk about that, because I know, so you styled Asher Ketty as Asher Ketty or as her character for Offspring?
So no, never, always as herself. So they had stylists on set for the shows, and then we at Channel 10 would do the publicity and the marketing of them as themselves. So that's where I captured their own personalities, what they love to wear, and then working with their body shapes as well, obviously, because they're all, we're all very different. So being able to nail that on the shoot was really important, to have them looking and feeling their best for the shoot day. Yeah.
And your clients love that look, don't they? I know you've said before that people say to you, I just love Asher Ketty's look, or I love Kat Stewart's look. That's what I want, as that sort of everyday, smart, casual mum working vibe.
Yeah, to put a spin on it. So them as their character. Someone said to me, okay, I really love the Asher Ketty vibe. Can we go shopping? I want to look like Asher Ketty. So then I take Asher Ketty's style from the show, not her personally, and then work that vibe back with the person themselves as well. You can't just go, okay, I'm going to dress you like Ashley Ketty, because your body shape's different and your personality's different. So yes, I'm going to integrate that boho style into your, work back with your current wardrobe and integrate some new pieces. Yeah.
It's such an interesting way to look at it. As a personal stylist, every personal styling client essentially does have a brief, just like a brief that you would receive if you were doing a publicity shoot for newsreaders or a TV channel. And within that brief is really sort of the specifics. This is what I want to convey in my clothing. These are my issues. This is what I love. So your ability to really just quite seamlessly pivot from taking that creative brief from a network to taking that creative brief from an individual seems like a really easy transition. Was it pretty simple to do?
Yeah, so you mentioning that and pulling that together, that was the connection between celebrity styling and personal styling, and how I was going to be basically evolving from one into the other, and it being really similar, more similar than I even realized. To the point where I had a personal branding job the other day, styling job, where I had a logo, so I had specific colors to follow.
Yeah.
And then she had her specific job, which was a wellness coach. So then we wanted to integrate that into what she did through the photos and project that through the photos, and then being shot at home as well. So that was her brief that we had to work to.
Wow. So are you doing a lot of branding shoots at the moment, or is that something you're looking to expand in 2021 when we're kind of out of this pandemic situation?
I've certainly been touching on them now that we've come out of lockdown. I think women have really, put their feet in the sand and had a really good think about themselves during COVID and lockdown and what they want to do. And a lot of women are going out on their own and running their own businesses. So yes, going to be something I'm going to be doing next year, because it makes sense, because that's what I do. I style for photo shoots. So that's something I'm going to work with a couple of different photographers and be able to provide that service where you can do photo shoots for your personal branding or your personal image or your website or your headshots, whatever it be.
Well, I can be your first client, because throughout COVID, I had my husband take some photos of me. It was the most hysterical and useless experience. So I need some sort of photos. But let's go back to the moment where you started to shift into personal styling. And that's happened this year throughout COVID. Being in Melbourne, we've been in lockdown, so it's made it even more difficult, or an opportunity really to kind of just focus on rebuilding a new arm of the business. You've started to offer a lot more of the virtual styling services to your personal styling clients. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I've been doing personal styling for around about 4 years now. And obviously it was all one-on-one. I love to go to the shops and touch the fabrics and try the clothes on people. So when the dilemma this year came of all photo shoots shut down, all personal shopping shut down, then I had already on my radar from about 16 months earlier was the virtual platform ShopShare.
Yeah.
So they'd contacted me when they first sort of launched and just didn't have the time to look into it and set it up, because I'm not a huge online shopper. So I've had to learn very quickly how to become an amazing online shopper and pivot my business and push packages out that I can mirror what I already offer, but be able to do that in a virtual service. So
was that hard? Because I know that a lot of stylists feel, I guess a little concerned that delivering an experience virtually will lack the same sort of connection for the client. So what's your experience been in transitioning some of those services, the in-person shopping and styling, like the wardrobe edits, outfit try-ons, onto a virtual platform? It's been a lot better than what I thought. It's been quite amazing journey. So a lot of women would say, no, I like to go to the shops. And when I can edit their wardrobes with them, we go through their wardrobes, they're standing up on their bed doing try-ons for me over Zoom, and we're working out, what the gaps are in their wardrobe. I'm a big believer that the foundation to what I do is wardrobe edits. So find out, shop in your own wardrobe first. And then we go and fill the gaps. And that's when we do the virtual shopping platform ShopShare. So I will do
offer you either 5 pieces or 10 pieces in a video. I keep the videos not too long because they take too long to upload. So I can then, service more of my clients, churning out some great videos. And then the try-on session is the best part. So I had one lady, had all of her clothes, all of her parcels there ready to go. We were trying on all the clothes. And we were winning. We were having a great time because through ShopShare, we were able to work out the sizing, work out the fabrics, really nail what she needed in her wardrobe. But then to try them on, one of the parcels actually arrived then and there while we were doing the Zoom meeting, and she tried it on right in front of me, and it was just, she looked stunning. She looked amazing. And this wasn't a retailer that's in shopping centres necessarily. And I think that's the amazing thing about the virtual styling world, is that you don't have to go to Chadstone and just shop within Chadstone. You don't, you're not just at Emporium. You're going to so many other smaller brands to really nail the client's personality.
That is such a good point. And something that I think it's really easy for stylists and image consultants to forget. When you're not an image consultant or a stylist, you probably, like on average, I probably know maybe 10 stores that I could check. If I need to look for something, I might jump on, Witchery or The Iconic or Zara or Net-a-Porter. And then I've got a list of about 10, and then I don't know anywhere else. So if I don't find what I'm looking for there, I just don't get it. I feel annoyed. And, the cycle of being frustrated with your wardrobe is perpetuated. But because you are an expert in this field, your repository of brands that is just so extensive. And that's probably an angle that potentially stylists haven't used as a form of content, as a form of promotion, as a benefit or a reason for someone to book in. So again, when you're servicing them virtually, you're not only presenting them with options that they wouldn't have thought of, like perhaps encouraging them to visit a store in Chadstone or, a Westfield that they wouldn't have gone into before, but you can be pulling and exposing them to some of the most incredible emerging brands, or just not as well known, or not national brands. So it's a really, that component of the experience is probably an untapped marketing opportunity.
I think that's one of the best parts about it, being able to go on a broader spectrum like that, because it really nails the person's personality. They might go, like you say, they buy 5 white sweaters in a year. Like, let's break that cycle. You buy the same denim jean. Let's get you out of the same denim jean. Let's get you into something different. So being able to break that cycle for people and the way they shop is ideally what we do as stylists, to broaden their horizon and make them think differently about where they go to. And quite often these people will become dedicated clients to that brand, that smaller brand, so that don't have a shop front, that are only available online.
Yes.
Brilliant.
When we talk about marketing, I remember in one of our earlier conversations, I was talking about Scanlan and Theodore, which is an Australian brand, beautiful Australian brand with a higher price point. And they have a particular fabric. I don't know if it's like an Italian yarn or something. I have no idea about the fabric, but you know what I'm talking about, that thick, stretchy, beautiful, luxurious fabric they create. Yeah, the net that they do incredible jumpers and cardigans in. And I know you were saying, yep, I know exactly why you like that brand, and I could potentially present you with another 5 brands with varying price points that reflect a similar aesthetic or have similar fabrics or a similar silhouette. And I think that's a really interesting opportunity as well from a stylist looking to market her services and attract more clients, is being able to say, my ability as an industry professional is to understand what you would love to wear and either source that, or if you can't afford that, find you alternatives that still nail the brief.
Yeah, and that's the way we do it. They might have an image of how they'd like to look, and then we can go, as a stylist, I go and recreate that look for you with different brands for, half the price or less even. So, I mean, that's what I love to do. Yeah. Brilliant.
And how have you found, because I know you've had a lot of success since launching your virtual services and really focused on the personal styling element. How have you been reaching out to clients or letting people know about your services and then driving those bookings?
Yes, so I did a soft launch during COVID, during lockdown, we had a VIP group where I joined a few other ladies, and we had our own time slots throughout the day. We presented to 150 women. I talked about my personal styling journey and my virtual services. And then I did a special on the videos to really push them out there. And then I offered them obviously on social media across the board. And then it all really kicked off from there. And then I could work out exactly what I wanted to offer for everybody after trialing it and having a go, and then really push the launch a bit more. So I think the whole thing about the virtual world is, as a stylist, I wanted to make myself more available to every woman out there. Whereas some people, the first thing they think about is stylists, they're for the rich and famous, they're for the, you know, she's a celebrity stylist, why would she dress me? And I think I really wanted to break down the barrier with all of those thoughts and be able to offer services to everybody and to get a taste about what it's like to have a stylist come and help you. Because women especially, we don't always do something to reward ourselves. We always put ourselves last. And I think that as women get older and the kids head off to school, then it's time for them, you know, they're back to work or they're taking on more work and they're really finding out about who they are. So that was the most important thing to me, was to be able to reach out to a broader spectrum, you know, all around Australia now I can do that, and New Zealand, I've got a couple of clients as well. So that's where virtual just, you know, blew it out of the water for me this year, and it's been an amazing journey. Yeah.
Do you think that your clients, these women, are also getting to the point where they think, I notice the perpetual cycle of going shopping, buying products that I don't necessarily know how to wear. They end up sitting in the closet. 12 months later, they're out in a donations bag, or they're just piling up in the wardrobe. And they're just getting to a point where they think this is just, it's not sustainable. It's literally not a sustainable approach. So do you think they're kind of saying, okay, now I see the benefit of having someone come and help me make more considered decisions when it comes to shopping, and then as much as they're also focused on presenting a new kind of brand for themselves?
Oh, absolutely. It's an absolute process that you go through, and from that moment of that realization that, oh my gosh, how many more clothes can I have in my wardrobe with tags on them, or things that I don't wear? Like, how much excess do I live with? And the way the world's going with, you know, sustainability and fast fashion, it's really time to nail down, you know, what you're wearing and be able to wear those pieces 20 times and wear them to death and love them, you know. So and then especially knowing what to do with those clothes. Women don't know what to do. You know, I've got all these clothes with tags on, what do I do? So obviously you upcycle them. There's more websites these days where you can do consignment if you're not a big eBay person. There's lots of different ways, and that's what I let people know about as well. When we're going through, we put things into piles, obviously, you know, op shop, and then things that you can upcycle and go from there. Really work out in your wardrobe what the best styles are that you've got to build on. And then, we hit the shops, which is brilliant. And when you nail the brief, when you've nailed it, they strike the pose.
Catchy tagline.
It's so true. Like, these women will stand in front of the mirror and go, "Oh, look at me," and it just makes my heart skip a beat. Like, and that's why I'm doing what I do, and that's why I love what I do. Yeah.
So
awesome.
Doing that service, being able to get into someone's wardrobe, whether it's in person or virtually. Well, actually, in person's obviously it's pretty straightforward. You're there with them. You can touch the fabrics, you can see everything on, and you can adjust things on the person. How have you found that experience of doing the wardrobe edit virtually? Do you find that the clients are just as happy, you know, if they're standing on their bed on Zoom as they are in person?
Yeah, so in the beginning, they're not sure how it's all going to go, but they soon get into the rhythm of it all. And so we work on the nitty-gritty bits first, obviously. And then after we work out, you know, which pieces are going out, and then we can work on which pieces we're going to put the new clothes back with. So that's where the styling session, after we do the virtual shop, we do a try-on session, and that's where I integrate the shopping pieces back into their own wardrobes, and we can really nail the rest of their wardrobe then. So be able to really work out the fits, and we may even get rid of another couple of pieces then. But in the beginning, it's mainly the nitty-gritty pieces to deal with. You know, this piece, why haven't you worn it? You know, why is it still sitting in your wardrobe? So, or how can we alter it? Like, just tweaking things and altering things in your existing wardrobe, you will get, you know, another 5 years out of them. So it's great.
And that's true, because again, I remember one of the first things I learned when I did the styling course with the Style Core with Carla Mathis is unless you have the dimensions of the grading system or the sample model that the brand is creating, most of us will not perfectly fit clothing that is on the rack. So it's probably something to consider more frequently than we do, being able to take up a hem or fix a collar and here lies the extent of my knowledge of tailoring. But, you know, like being able to adapt things and knowing what to do is probably another reason why you just need to get a professional in to say, okay, you know, this garment is probably something you could be wearing if we just take it up an inch or cinch it in or what have you.
And that's where I combine, you know, my fashion skills with my personal styling skills, because I'm looking at proportions when I'm doing personal styling. The biggest thing to looking good is getting your proportions right. If your top's too long or your pants aren't the right length or your sleeves, you know, aren't the right length, everything just looks out of whack and it doesn't look great. So that's, you know, my number one job is to work your proportions out. But then that takes me back to doing a try-on session with you with your current wardrobe and knowing the fit and how those clothes are made. And that's where my fashion background comes through it as well. And that's where it all sort of combines and, it takes off from there.
But, you know, so it's so obvious to me as someone that works within this industry that's not a stylist, about the benefits of stylists. And yet still there seems to be this disconnect potentially with women out there who are experiencing these issues, that do have closets full of clothing that they don't know how to wear, that don't feel great. And yet there's this barrier to, you know, why do you think it is that they aren't, that everyone isn't booking a styling session and that everyone isn't weaving in a professional stylist as part of their shopping and styling sort of side of their life?
It's a good question, Sarah, because there's a lot of guilt with women around doing things for themselves. And I think that is the biggest barrier, that people, you know, deciding that it's time for you to do something for you, and really putting yourself first. And I think, you know, when we're mums and we're working and, you know, running around after kids, we do lose ourselves a little bit. And I think that's the biggest fault there.
It's true. But I mean, it's not as if you're sending yourself to Bali for a meditation retreat for a week. You're just booking someone to come and, you know, to provide a service for 2 hours to tell you half of your wardrobe is ludicrous. The other half we're going to work with. Here are the gaps. Now you've got some stuff that you can wear and you can, you know, it's going to take you 5 minutes to get dressed. So it's interesting because women will still go and get laser hair removal, get their roots done. You know, we are spending on ourselves. So I do wonder whether one of the barriers tends to be that they feel it's a bridge too far. Bridge.
I think the thing is people think cost straight away. How much is it going to cost me? So we're not going to go out and buy you, you know, 30 items for your wardrobe. We're going to fill the gaps that are already in your wardrobe, and we can do that virtually and in person. That's the beauty of the whole virtual world, you know, as well. We're just really nailing the key pieces that you need in your wardrobe. And I think that's, you know, that's sustainable fashion, where you're working with what you've got and then integrating some really great pieces, and go from there. I find one of the biggest gaps in women's wardrobe, which is what I'm going to be nailing next year, Sarah, you'll love to know this, I've worked this out since we've done our course together, is date night and date night. That is the biggest gap in wardrobes. Women do not have anything for date night in their wardrobes, and knowing how to dress from date night. So that's where I'm heading.
We tend to kind of have, there's a dress in case it's a function, and then there's the everyday or the workwear, and that sort of, would you call it transition pieces? I don't know. Like, you know, it's not super dressy, but it's not super casual. It's sort of in that middle section.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And knowing how to make that look, and go from there. But yeah, and the date night, you know, people might have one or two things they can wear in their wardrobe, and they might have, 200 pieces in their wardrobe. I only have 100 pieces in my wardrobe that I work with, and I don't think I even wear all of them. And I do have another closet of, my special pieces, my resort wear, my evening wear. But yeah, some people, they have 200 pieces plus in their wardrobe, I've seen. It's insane.
And we buy the same stuff all the time. And so you continue to make those mistakes. So do you think, just going back to the barrier, can someone book a stylist to do a wardrobe edit, let's say it's in person or virtually, and just do the wardrobe edit? Like, okay, let's have a look what you have. Let's just do the gap analysis. And then maybe you just need a T-shirt or, like a singular piece. Is it possible for people to book in and not feel as if it's going to be such a big change and such a big expense straight off the bat?
Yeah, that's another one. People don't like change. Absolutely, Sarah. That's a good point. So yes, they can absolutely do the wardrobe edit, and then I can make a couple of suggestions, and they can head out and find those pieces themselves. I don't have to do that for them. I can certainly point them in the right direction. But then, maybe you do a wardrobe edit in person, and then you do the add-on of the video of the 5 pieces that you add to the wardrobe, because that's, I do that for $70. So that's where we keep the cost down. And then people can really, get on their way, because just doing the wardrobe edit on itself and not filling those couple of gaps, those little pieces, then you're still lost without those basics to build that wardrobe. So either way.
Yeah. You can tell yourself there are gaps, but you do what, the idea is that we're going to close those gaps and I guess maximize the options, the outfit options in your wardrobe. And do you package your experience, I guess the process of the wardrobe edit, that gap analysis, and then the personal shopping, whether that's done through ShopShareTV videos or in person, and then the try-on session, do you tend to package that as one big chunky service for clients, or do you break it up and let them kind of go step by step?
Yeah, so I've broken them down into individual services, and then people can add on. Everyone's different. Every person I have that comes to me says, how do it work? How does this all work for me? Because everybody's very different in what their needs are. So then I can suggest ways to move forward. I mean, we may even do a try-on session where I don't record the outfits of what you're going to be wearing. But then the next step is to be able to add a virtual style file or a digital style file where I collate each individual look, and then you have that readily available in your phone every morning. What am I wearing today? And you can just scroll through that and have a look and work it out that way, which just takes the pain out of getting dressed every day as well. If that's, women's biggest dilemma, which quite often it can be, putting the outfits together. Some people know how to put the outfits together already and they're fine. And we do that simple try-on session, but then, there's so many different levels that we can add to help women get dressed every day. Make it easy, make it fun, make it exciting.
And you've obviously made it fun and exciting because you booked out.
I was, yes, definitely for November. I've pulled it back a little bit in December because I've was so super busy. So to me, booked out may not be what everybody else is booked out. So I'm also working still with Channel 7, dressing the cricket commentators for the season. So I organise all the men's and women's clothes, and I can't tell you how many thousands of looks that is throughout the season. Wow. So I'm working that 2 to 3 days a week as well, and then I've got my virtual clients and personal clients as well. So if I am working 5, 6 days a week, then that can be quite a handful. That was November, so I've pulled it back to 4 or 5 days for December just to finish the year on a nice note. And the virtual styling world has definitely lifted the game with having clients and booking out. So it's been exciting.
Wonderful. Thanks, Bridge. Thank you so much for sharing all of your insights and sort of taking us through the ins and outs of servicing clients virtually, because I know that's what so many people want to know. What does the actual service look like? Are the clients loving it? Do they mind conducting these types of services in a virtual setting as opposed to in person? So thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks for the chat.